All right, I think we're live.
Are we live?
We're live.
Live, or
No,
is this now, or is this
now? But or are you frozen in a winter garden trying to break down the door saying, "Here's Johnny"?
Oh, yes. Oh, that is a sad thing, man.
It is. So
sad thing. So
yeah. So way to start the show on a downer, man.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Shelley Duvall has passed.
Yeah, so that's pretty tough. But and I will say that is the one movie of hers I will not watch to this day because I saw it in the theater when I was 6 years old with my father. And talk about childhood trauma.
Seriously,
Seriously.
I watched that once or twice every year, probably. At least 2 or 3 times a year, probably.
Well,
I think
you're a braver man than Mike.
Go ahead. And it's just awesome. I thought it was awesome when I was 7-8 years old, and I still think it's awesome today.
Yeah, I got willies just thinking about it. That's I'm good. I saw it, like I said, I saw it when I was 6. I'm good. So let's see
how'd that go. All work and no play makes Johnny a
dull boy. Yeah. With that, I think we're gonna kick into the show.
All right, kick into the show.
Now, on with the show.
Time for bladder check. Check. Wait. Screw it, I'm holding it.
Podcasting, the final audio frontier. These are the legends of Brown Squadron.
Our computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
The ongoing mission? To explore the Star Wars universe and other nerd culture topics. To seek new content and new cantinas, bars, and lounges. To boldly annoy Scruffy by making too many bad jokes. Welcome to the Hyperspace Heroes Podcast.
All right, and welcome to Hyperspace Heroes. This is Brown Leader signing in. All wings report in.
Brown 2 signing in. And before we get too far in the episode, I'd like to point out she was also in Time Bandits, that train wreck we watched as DB's blockbuster about 6 months ago.
That's true, she was.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So welcome, Hyperspace Heroes, episode 95 or 120 on the Spotchka scale.
Timeline, yes.
Yes, and so we are back for another week. We took last week off for Independence Day, and but if you wanted to get a little dose of Hyperspace Heroes, you could head on over to a show called Behind the Mask, which is on the now I'm completely blanking. Coruscant Nights, their Nightcast Creative Discord, and then they have a YouTube channel for all of their shows that they do. And I'm on a live. It was not a podcast; it was a live interview show. I was corrected on that. And
live interview show.
Yes, I dropped the P word during the interview, and her comments lit up. It was pretty funny. But yeah. It was pretty funny. The podcast, keep it clean.
Yeah. It took me a second to think of that. What is wrong with you, dude?
Right. So I did that 2 Mondays ago. The Monday before the 4th of July, I was on that show, gave an interview, and then I was going to save this till Collection Corner, but I actually was just recorded an episode with some friends of ours. What does Star Wars mean to you? And that'll probably be out in August or September. But yeah, Scruff, we're back. No Brown 4 on the show.
Raking the lawn.
Raking the lawn. No, actually, it is Mr. and Mrs. DB's anniversary. So happy anniversary!
Happy anniversary!
They do not have Brownie 4 tonight, so they actually have a date night, which
Ew.
being our age, I don't know why he didn't come on the show, because being our age, he's probably almost done with
Date night's over, man. I mean, that was over like a half hour ago.
I mean, he does
Now
the
they're
show
both-
in his pajamas, for goodness sakes.
I know, right? I mean, by now they're both sitting on the couch, stuffed from dinner, going, "Is it time for bed yet?"
Yeah. No, I got to go
Well-
pick up the kid and bring her home.
Oh,
So,
Well, since we have no Brown 4, I thought we would spend our entire episode talking about differences and the similarities between Beskar and Cortosis.
on that note, we're going to move on to what
Heavy
the
metal.
Show is actually heavy metal.
Heavy
Nice.
metal.
Very,
Yes. Okay,
you know what?
sorry.
Wait.
What?
Just for that. Where is it? I got to play this.
Play it. Oh,
There you go. So,
no, that was not cool.
it was
so not
actually
cool.
absolutely cool.
No. No.
But anyway, yeah, episode 95 tonight. We have a special guest that's going to be joining us tonight. We'll bring him out in just a second. We actually have a producer, professional booker, somebody from the industry that works in entertainment. Yes.
Yes.
No, not George Lucas.
Okay.
Come on, we're saving him for episode
Episode 100.
right?
Yes, episode
Yeah.
100.
Right. So it's
Epic.
yeah, we've got him for that. So not. And so, but we've got to get
Not.
we've got a guest on tonight that we're going to bring on. We're going to be talking about a new documentary film that just dropped on several different services called I Am George Lucas, a Conner Ratliff story. And let me see, I think I've got the poster here for it. Conner Ratliff story. And we're going to be talking to one of the producers of the show. This is all based on a show in New York City, I believe, called George Lucas Talk Show. And yeah, and it's something I actually, before I had seen this doc, I didn't really know much about. And I know we both watched it, and we're going to be talking to, we have Patrick Cotnoir on tonight, who's going to be kind of educating us on the world of a corner of the Star Wars fandom that some people may not know about. But after watching that documentary, I've actually already subscribed to their YouTube and definitely going to be catching some episodes. But
Awesome.
yeah, so
All right, let's bring him in.
well, I've got, I got to do that. I got to do that professional thing.
Oh, do
So-
the professional thing.
yeah.
Do the professional.
So-
you mean what? Like I forgot the week you were gone. Yeah,
Yes, exactly. So
my apologies.
yeah, so
Professional.
Patrick Cotnoir, he is a producer and booker for the do I have to say this out loud? So for something called ASCAT, which we're definitely going to be asking about. He is the
My
executive
one
producer-
question.
the executive producer booker for the George Lucas Talk Show. He's a guest booker for Exactly Right, producer for Natalie Morales and the Night Crew, and amongst other things. So let's bring him on now.
Let's bring him on. All right,
ASCAP's
Patrick,
always
welcome.
the question. Always
Right.
the question.
That's
ASCAP.
my one question right there. My
Right,
only
right.
question.
We'll get to that.
We'll
Yeah.
let you get to that in your time there.
So welcome, Patrick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. So I know I kind of gave just a little bit of a rundown, but kind of tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a talent booker, producer, casting person, kind of just, I don't want to say jack of all trades, but a little jack of all trades. I do whatever someone pays me to do. That's the answer.
Right. Yep.
But, I've been working in the industry doing stuff like that for 13, 14 years, something like that. I was in New York for a really long time, which is where the George Lucas Talk Show is based and where that all started. And then about a year and a half ago, moved out to LA and have been doing a bunch of stuff out here. Mostly comedy stuff, but a lot of podcasts, TV, kind of whoever's around, It's a weird time for the industry. So you gotta do the shows that are available and the fun ones. That's
Right.
the goal.
Right on. Before we get into talking a little bit about your past and ASCAT, which Scruffy's chomping at the bit for. So first two questions. Our first question we always start with our guests about is what does Star Wars mean to you?
Yeah, great question. Big question. We're starting off small with the easy ones.
Little
Yeah,
I mean,
easy.
it's been a gigantic part of my life for as long as I can remember. And it obviously went through some ebbs and flows as to when I was, super into it and then took a little time off. And now back into it, and I don't know how to get out of it anymore. But it means so much to me. I've met so many friends through it, both through the Lucas show and through, the internet fan community and stuff like that. And it really makes me happy and brings me joy. And like, it's the franchise that I can always count on being there. Even in those dark times, you're still getting Clone Wars, you're still getting books, you're still getting Star Wars Insider. Like, all those things are still around. And I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. I feel like we're good to go for a little while. But it's always exciting when something new comes out, and it's rad that we live in a time where basically almost every week we get something new.
Oh yeah,
I know blog. I know blog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right. What a time to be a Star Wars fan, right? I mean, so much content, not just on the screen, but books and comics and everything. So what was your first Star Wars experience? What kind of your first memory?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I remember, I don't know if I saw them before this, but the first time I remember seeing them was the special editions. I'm a little younger than you guys, so I was 7 when those came out. My aunt grew up, and my mom too, but like right when they were coming out initially, but my aunt was very into them. And when she moved out of my grandparents' house, she left a lot of stuff at their house, Star Wars stuff, Muppet stuff, like a lot of stuff that really like formed my personality. And I just grew up going into the playroom and playing with Beth's Star Wars stuff and books and records and whatever else she had. So even before I had seen the movies, I was still like very aware of them and very, it was a big part of my life even then.
So you were lucky that you didn't have to live through that dark time between 1985 and 1997 before when there was just maybe a few books here and there, but really not much.
I caught the tail end, but yeah, I mean, I remember going to like Taco Bell and getting all those toys when the special editions were coming out, and like, it was very exciting to be like, "Ooh, we get to go to KFC this week!" Like, yeah. That's the fancy one.
Mm-hmm. One of our other hosts has probably 6 or 8 sets of those Taco Bell stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got the Lotto Cup right over there, so I'm very, very engulfed in all that.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. So it was kind of the perfect time to be growing up for that stuff, and I was the perfect age for the prequels and special editions and stuff. So it was really. It was the right time to be around for it.
Right
awesome.
on. We're here to talk tonight mostly about let me see if I can scroll fast enough and not pause too much.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about documentary I'm George Lucas, a Conner Ratliff story, and it's all based on a talk show that you're a part of called the George Lucas Talk Show.
Yeah.
Which kind of got its start in New York City, right?
Yeah.
Now, are you guys still in New York City? Or are you guys doing it in LA now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in LA. They're still both in New York. We still do live shows in New York, but we also do shows in LA. This year we've done LA, Seattle, Portland, New York, and maybe one other one that I'm forgetting. But so we've sort of just been bopping around.
Well, that's cool.
Based on if someone asks us, or if I'm in New York for some reason, we'll do one, stuff like that.
Right.
So we're doing live shows, and we're still doing live streams too, which is nice.
And if I recall correctly from the documentary, you actually kind of you just started helping a friend out, and then next thing you know, you're the producer for the show and the booker. So
and now we're 10 years later, and it's still happening. Yeah, I mean, I'd been working with Connor on this show called The Chris Gethard Show, which was a local comedy show in New York that went on public access in New York, but it streamed everywhere across the world, and it got this really like fervent alt comedy fan base with a bunch of weirdos everywhere. And we did that for a few years. It eventually went to cable, and we did it on cable for a few years too. But Connor was doing bits on the show, and then eventually I was running a camera, and Connor was running another camera just because he wanted to do one of the cameras. It was just one of those shows where it was like all hands on deck. And we, became really good friends and hanging out a lot, and he started doing this show. And it was in the period when I was not as big in the Star Wars world, that post Revenge of the Sith through Force Awakens was kind of my dark period, as I assume it was for a lot of people's. But it was definitely the thing that when he said, "Oh, I'm doing a talk show where I play George Lucas," I was like, "Oh, well, that's all of my interests." You know, like always wanted to work on talk shows. Like that was always the goal. And then, you know, Star Wars. It was always in the back of my brain. And even, you know, by the end of those prequels, when everyone was saying these are bad, these are terrible, I think I bought into that narrative a little bit and was like, "Oh, they're not good. I don't like them," but like I did like them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to feel like I was part of the crowd that was, you know, dumping on it a little bit. But once that came back into my life, I was like, "Oh no, I like this stuff. Well, who am I kidding? Why am I trying to be cool? You know, like let's do the thing. You know?"
Right. So if the show's been going on for about 10 years and you had met Conner on some stuff before the show and before the George Lucas talk show. And so that was kind of your early career in the industry. And I noticed in the documentary, does a lot of the crowd of not just yourself and Conner, but and the gentleman that plays Watto, but a lot of your guests, they seem to kind of come out of the improv community. Is that kind of where it grew out of? And is that how you got into entertainment, or was it something that you always knew you wanted to get into the world of entertainment?
Yeah, I mean, I moved to New York because I wanted to work on SNL. That was like the thing, you know, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to work on it. And I got to intern there for a year and a half. So like I did it, you know, I climbed that mountain, I crossed the river, I did it. And I was going a lot to this theater called the UCB Theater, which is an improv theater in New York and LA, that Amy Poehler started and Matt Walsh from Veep and a whole bunch of other people. And that was where a lot of those, the Chris Gethard show and Conner were like performing regularly and doing stuff regularly. And it was where the show was performed up until COVID happened. So it was about 6 years we did it there. But yeah, I was never an improv performer. I was always a behind the scenes guy. I was always a producer. I wanted to keep those delineations separated. And because I knew that if I was a performer and people knew I wanted to be a performer, they would be like, "Oh, well, he's only helping on this show because he's like gunning for stage time," you know?
Right.
And I was trying to avoid that because you don't want to be the guy where everyone's like, "I know what your real deal is. I know really what you're trying to do."
Right.
So yeah, a lot of the people who were coming to the show were either improv people or Gethard show people, you know, fans of the Gethard show, and it was just like it felt tangentially related to that show because so many people who worked on that show also worked on this.
That's cool. And then one other quick background question real quick is, so did you go to school for entertainment, or was it something you just worked your way into?
Yeah, no, I went to school. I went to Pace University in Manhattan, and I went there for film studies, which I didn't really know what that was. You know, it was, you know, I wanted to be in the film industry. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it's sort of hard to go to college for that if you don't really know what you want to do. Because, you know, being a cinematographer is very different from being a writer, very different from being an editor. Like it's different skills. It's different types of people that can do those jobs.
Yeah.
And film studies was a lot of writing about movies, which was fine. You know, it was fine. It's good for a lot of people. But it wasn't necessarily the thing I wanted to do. And I sort of used being in the school and in the city for college to do a bunch of other things. So that was when I, you know, interned at SNL, interned at Sesame Street, did a bunch of internships, worked on the Gethard show. There was a point where I was doing 2 internships, the Gethard show and school at the same time.
Wow.
And it was too much. It was too much. I don't know if you can believe that or not, but yeah, I was working my ass off, and it paid off because I started working on things at 19, you know, while I was in college, and was getting paid to do things at 19 when other people were like still only doing class and stuff like that. So it was a lot, and I like sacrificed the normal college experience for, well, let's just start early and get the foot in the door, you know.
So intern for Sesame Street?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. You got to tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it's a weird story. Big Muppet guy, Muppet kid. You can see someone made the 3 George Lucas talk show guys, they made us our own puppets during COVID and sent them to us us.
That's
It's
awesome.
really rad. But big Muppet guy growing up. Went to go see Carol Spinney, who played Big Bird and Oscar for almost 50 years. He had a book come out when I was 12, and the Yukon College has a puppetry course. So he came and did a talk for his book, and just like did a Q&A, talked to a bunch of people about it. And this is on video, and it's very weird to like have this very crucial moment in my life like filmed. But I say, do you ever give tours of the set? I ask him that. And he goes, no, not really, but you got to know somebody, and like gives a little wink, right? 6 months later, we meet him afterwards, get a picture. We like send the picture off. He sends it back, signed, all that stuff. 6 months later, I get a postcard in the mail saying, hey, Patrick, it's Carol. If you ever want to come to the set, here's my phone number. Give me a call and we'll set it up. So I'm like, yeah, of course I do. Obviously I do. So I'm 12 or whatever. We go. It's amazing. It's really rad. We spend the whole day there. I eventually go back 2 more times and meet a bunch of people there. And when it comes time to go to college, I like reach out to someone and say, hey, I'm going to college very close to where you guys film. If you have an internship coordinator, can you put me in touch? That kind of thing. It's Nepo baby adjacent. It's you knew someone, you got in, that was it. But it was great, and it's the thing that I'll never take it off my resume because it's the one thing that everyone asks about.
Absolutely.
I was there for the last time that Frank Oz has performed on Sesame Street to date.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Crazy, It was at a very weird time where a lot of the original guys were retiring or dying or whatever, and it was like I was there for like 3 or 4 people's last time on the show, which is really nuts to me.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's
very
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So let's transition over into the George Lucas Talk Show, and why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about the show, starting with the main cast.
There we are. Look at us.
The Watto guy rules.
I'm gonna pretend like I'm Conner. There you go.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. So it's a talk show. It's a regular talk show. This is how we describe it to people. We say it's a regular talk show, except the host of that show is 80-year-old retired filmmaker George Lucas. That is the full premise of the show. George retired. He sold Lucasfilm to Disney, and now in his days off that he has every day, he's decided to start up a talk show because he's famously charismatic and famously great at dealing with other human beings. So we treat it like that. We have guests who are themselves on it. Griffin Newman, who's a comedian you might know from the Tick reboot or the Blank Check movie podcast, which is very popular, plays Watto. I'm there. Since COVID has happened, I'm now their on-screen, on-stage producer, sidekick, whatever you want to call it. But we've had insane people. We've had Ahmed Best. We've had the Star Wars guys, but we've also had like Whoopi Goldberg and Seth Meyers and Weird Al and like insane people who should not be on a fake talk show hosted by George Lucas, and it's very fun. It's been going on 10 years. We used to be a stage show, and then during COVID, we pivoted to it being a StreamYard Twitch show. And we did, I think, almost 400 hours of streaming during lockdown, which is a lot of time, And that's all on YouTube. So you can, if this interests you in any way, you can go on the YouTube and find a guest that you like, and I recommend just watching the episode with that guest on.
Yeah. I want to see the Weird Al episode for sure.
He stays for 3.5 hours.
Wow.
No way.
We told him before we started, we said, Al, you say you're going to stay the whole time. I don't think you understand what that means. Like, we're going to go very long. And it got to the point where he hadn't eaten dinner, and we could tell that he was dipping a little bit. And we were like, Al, you need to leave. Like, We're so sorry to do this. If you told us in any context that we'd be kicking Weird Al out of the show, but you're going to fall asleep otherwise. Yeah, blog, just normal stuff. Blog knows. Yeah, but it's a very fun, very weird show that's hard to describe. It's 3 friends having fun,
Yeah,
And-
right on. So I had a question. So when you guys did have to transition to, because you guys were used to performing on stage, that's a whole dynamic with the audience.
Yeah.
And to have to transition to an online show, How did that? I'm sure the first couple were a little rocky.
Yeah.
Did you guys find a groove? How did you adapt? How did you, morph into? Because based on the documentary, it looked like you guys finally kind of got into a groove and were just having a blast.
Yeah.
But how did you make that transition?
Totally. So when lockdown happened, UCB closed down, which you see in the doc, and they laid off a lot of people. And it wasn't they didn't get severance and they didn't get, the money that they needed to get through those early days of the pandemic. So there was a GoFundMe going on, and we hadn't really talked about doing the show as a live stream because, we're going to get to that vlog. Don't you worry. Because Conner was nervous that if you lived in Iowa or you lived in Germany or whatever, and you've never seen this show, and the first time you see the show is a live stream in a different way, and it's not that good, that you would never interact with the show again. You see it once, not something you like, never going to watch it again. So it took a lot of convincing of him being like, I think we can do this. I think it will be interesting and different, and you just have to give into it being interesting and different. And we'll have a lot of guests because it's live streaming, because we're all in the same boat. We're all stuck at home. This is May 2020. We can get a lot of people that we wouldn't normally get, or people who live in London, or people who live in, LA, whatever it is. And for the first show, we did it as a fundraiser for those UCB people. We watched every single live action Star Wars movie back to back to back to back to back. That's including the Ewok movies and the holiday special.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I think it was 31 hours, vlog. Not to one-up you, but I do think it was 31 hours. And we raised like $20,000, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot right off the bat.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And they're both such good performers that like there was a little bit of growing pains, but it's also like the show can be a little rough because it's 31 hours. And it's sort of built into the premise that like, we're all going to be falling asleep at 3 p.m. the next day. Like, and that's just how it's going to be on this show.
Yeah.
So there's points in that show where like Connor's kind of asleep on camera and I have to run the show, or Griffin has to run the show, because we all just like need to take our own little like, times where the eyes are just closed and that's it. And we, the audience found us, thank you, blog. Okay. All right. The audience found us fairly quick. We definitely, I think when we started, we weren't sure what we were going to get. And I think through that first one, we had like 300 or so watching basically the whole time, which is pretty good, for like
Absolutely.
an early show, but especially during lockdown, it really helped, it got figured out pretty quick, and we like found the groove and found the rhythm, and like we're able to have a lot of cool people on, and ended up during lockdown raising, I think it was like 275,000 total for things, for different charities and different, museums and stuff like that. Just anyone that felt like, oh, this will help out with what's going on right now. Because I think we felt a little guilty that like a lot going on in the world. We have this platform. Let us use this platform to do stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, the groove just kind of happened, and the show is not polished and the show is not clean, and it's not supposed to be. And I think starting off the first show by being like, this is 31 hours, it's going to be a shit show, I'm so sorry. It's true also. Yeah. It's going to be a mess. And going in with that mentality, it meant we were able to find the show as we went,
That sounds a lot like our show. We always know it's going to be, we go in knowing it's going to be a mess. So
yeah. But
you own it.
Fun.
Exactly. You just roll with it. Right.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, I've, and I could see in the documentary, I mean, it's really just, you guys are just, it's a passion thing. This is a passion thing that you guys feel like you just got to do, especially Conner. And, has he learned you could probably wear something over his mouth and his nose when he's spraying his beard? Because I feel so bad for him every time. I'm like, man, he's gonna get cancer at a young age or
he's
something.
Just breathing it in. I'm like, dude, stop.
We went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival last year, which is like a theater festival, because Conner wrote a play where Baron Papanoida, the character that George plays in Revenge of the Sith, I know you guys know, but I'm just saying it out loud because I know I have to. Baron Papanoida and Watto get trapped on a desolate planet and have to figure out how to get off of it. It's sort of like a Waiting for Godot in space. Conner wrote this play, and we went and we did it like 30 times in Scotland for a month. And he was like, it's probably easier if I just dye my hair for the month, you know, because I'm going to have to do this every single day. We could each only bring so many cans of spray paint because the airplane would not allow more, you know.
Right.
Mhm.
And then he found out that, and I have not looked into this to know if this is true or not. He found out that you legally cannot have someone dye your beard in New York State. I don't know. So the answer is
I have so many questions.
I do too. We've never looked into it more, so I couldn't tell you. The answer is so he's tried, but also at the same time, it's like it's the easiest.
Right.
The easiest way.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Oh,
I know. Watching him do that, I'm like, dude, stop breathing.
He's luckily not really doing shows after the show anymore, because most of the shows that we do at this point are the draw. You know, if we're doing it at a theater, it's like this is the show for the night, versus like this is one of multiple shows in a night, which is cool. So he doesn't have to, you know, fully wash it off once he's done and all that stuff.
So previously you guys would do multiple shows in a night, or it was?
Well, we would do a show and then he would have an improv show after.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to some of the guests that you've had, I mean, I noticed like on one of the more recent episodes, you guys had 3 of the cast members from Severance.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. And one of them's in the documentary.
Zach.
And man, that show is, what an underrated show that is.
Really?
I don't know a lot of people that have seen it, but I'm just like, it's a great show. It's
really fun. Zach's been on a bunch. Zach's probably been on the show 15 times. Like he's a UCB guy. He's like an improv guy.
Yeah.
So we've known him since before he was on anything, you know? And Britt came on during COVID. She'd been on the live stream. Adam had never been on the show, Adam Scott, but he had been on Connor's podcast Dead Eyes before, so he knew Connor through that. So
very cool.
That was the way that one happened.
Right on. What is something I like to ask is, after people have kind of progressed in their careers for a while, what is one thing that you learned that just kind of blew your mind? Something that you couldn't have predicted you were going to run into this or learn this through your career. You know, it was one of those aha kind of moments.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the thing that always blows my mind, and I do so much booking, like it's like my day job, it's my night job, it's every job, you know, it's just getting people to do shows, producing shows, hosting shows, whatever it is. And I think the thing that I keep learning is you just got to ask people, and people want to do fun, weird stuff, you know? And once you just have the balls to do that, I was doing that and then it gave me a little thumbs up. This is fun. Once you send that ask, like it could happen, you know?
Right.
And it surprises me every time it happens when I just cold email someone saying, hey, do you want to do this thing? And they say yes. It's always like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had some.
We actually have to do this. Oh no, now I'm nervous about this, you know? But I think that's always the surprising thing, is just like people want to have fun. And if you can get through the gatekeepers who keep them from having fun, then it will most likely work out. You know,
Yeah.
It's rare that we've only been turned down for George Lucas Talk Show a handful of times. It's usually either like scheduling or no response. That's like the 2 things if we're reaching out to someone and we don't hear back. So
yeah, no, that's very cool. And I've kind of discovered I do most of the booking for this, and yeah, that's kind of what I've learned into, is I just have to send out a blizzard of cold requests, and just you get what you get. And
people like talking about themselves.
They do. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you win some when you just do that.
Right on. Scruff, ask your question that you've been wanting to ask.
Okay, so talk to me about ASSCAT. So it's ASSSCAT Los Angeles, even.
Yeah. So ASSCAT is it's the flagship show at UCB. It is the main show at UCB. It's an improv show. It's been going on for 25 years in New York and LA. Every weekend. Now there's a Saturday show and a Sunday show. I do all the Sunday shows out here. It's a show where there's basically like 7 or 8 improvisers and then a celebrity guest who comes in. They get a word from the audience. The word could be pizza, right? And they might go, oh, pizza. Okay, when I was younger, my friends and I, after school every day, we used to go out to this diner, blah, 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 blah. Here's something that happened. Or they could be like, pizza, that makes me think of tomatoes, which makes me think of a garden. And my mom was a gardener, and she had a garden. Here's some stories about my mom. And then the improvisers will take that story and do a bunch of scenes based off of the story. And then they do a few stories throughout the show. It's like a 70, 80-minute show. But it's, it's been going on forever. I get all the monologists for the show. Mark Hamill's done it. It's crazy. Kevin Bacon.
Oh, wow.
Alan Alda. Just like insane people. It's a very weird show, and it's a very specific thing that like you'll never do something like this again, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people gravitate towards is like, oh, this is weird and cool. And I also, so many people have done it at this point because it's been 25 years that you throw some names at them and it's basically like, well, they did it. You're going to say, no, they did it? Come on. You know, Will Ferrell was here a couple months ago. You're better than Will Ferrell? Come on, get over here. So that definitely helps. But that is asking. And I've been booking that since 2014. So we took the break for COVID, but I've probably done 600, 650 shows. Mm-hmm. It's been a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very cool.
That's cool.
All right, well, that explains that a lot.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Wait, no, I got one more at least.
Yeah, go for it, sir.
There it is. There's the team there, and that Watto costume is awesome.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah,
the first time I saw that, I laughed hysterically. The little fairy wings in the back.
The fairy wings, yeah. It's grown over the years. He started in 2016, 2017, somewhere around there, and it mostly was just the bodysuit and the nose. That was pretty much where it started. And then he's just, whenever he sees a piece that he can acquire, whether it's the jacket or the fanny pack or the dice, the hat, whatever it is, you know. But he has to keep buying spandex bodysuits because they keep tearing. Because when you're shoving pillows into it to make a little belly, they can't always hold it. Because you want it to be skin tight, but you also want that belly, and that's a very hard needle to thread, you know.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, because I looked at that and I thought, hey, I could cosplay at the next convention.
Absolutely,
I can do this.
We did a cruise. We did this cruise called the Joko Cruise, which is a comedy music cruise that this guy Jonathan Colton puts on. And we were one of 30 guests, say, on there, you know, people doing shows. And we got announced after people bought the tickets for the cruise. So the cruise was already sold out when we got announced. And we got there. And on the first day, a man walked up to us and he was dressed as Griffin's Watto. He was like, I love the show. I made a costume. I wanted you guys to see it. And we were like, this is the most insane thing that's ever happened. And it was nuts. It was nuts.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So was Watto like his idea, right? Because you actually started, the original co-host was Jar Jar.
Yeah,
right?
Jar Jar.
And then he moved on to other projects, moved out to LA, I think. And was like, was the thought process like, okay, we want to keep a character sidekick, and Watto was the first one thrown out, or was it kind of an evolution, or what was
no, we didn't really know what we were going to do at that point. And it was, you know, you leave it up to Conner because it's his show ultimately. And he tried a few different things. Anthony Atamanuik played the ghost of Alec Guinness. Casey Jost played JJ. Like, there were a few different things that just, like, you know, we did it once and we were like, that's probably the one time we'll do that. Mm-hmm. And Griffin was really pushing for Watto. He has this podcast, Blank Check, which is a very popular movie podcast. And they did a bunch of episodes on the Phantom Menace, and he was doing a Watto impression on those episodes. And he was like, I can do this. Like, this feels natural. I'm already coming to the show. He had been on the second show that we did ever, just as himself, like as a guest, because he was promoting Draft Day, the football movie Draft Day that he was in. And it was one of those things where he just like I think he accosted Conner after a show and was just like, I want to do this. Just let me try it. Please let me try it. And he tried it. And I think going into it, Conner was like, I don't know if this is going to work. You know, we don't want it to feel like we're only picking the questionable Phantom Menace characters, you know.
Right.
But then Griffin he came in with the take on the character, and he came in with like we've done so much more time with our Watto than they have with their Watto, you know. That like our Watto is his own character at this point, and like he still is Watto when you break it all down to like the bare bones of it all. But like our Watto lives in the Dakota below Yoko, you know, like he's got his own little character backstory, and like it's very strange and it's very weird, but we do feel like some proprietary ownership over this character,
Right.
because we're like, we've done probably 7,000 times as much content as you guys have done with Watto.
Right. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great warm up, you know, for the show. It really is. He does a great job with that. And Scruff, did you have some other questions in terms of the talk show or anything?
I lost my notes.
Oh, convenient. Right.
Thanks.
So, something we kind of mentioned before, which was just love to just try things, and I got that spirit from Conner in the documentary, was, you know, and I think that was kind of emphasized by the whole needing 160 sticks to throw at Darth Vader, you know, when he comes in, and I just love that whole you know, just like you said, just not afraid to try anything.
The
but
mentality.
The experimentation. It's a lot of fun for sure.
He loves doing ideas that people say to him, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, you know. And then he loves being like, yeah, but let me do it in a way where it's good.
Right.
You know, he has a podcast with our friend JD Amato, who's in the doc. He's the guy, he's got the multicolored sweater. He was the director for the Gethard show, where it's called 12-Hour Day. And it's just them hanging out for 12 hours, and they just record themselves talking and hanging out. And they've done 30 episodes, you know? Like people would like fall asleep to these episodes because they just found it comforting and like delightful. There's an episode where they go to a wedding in the Midwest and they both fall asleep on the plane, but the recording keeps going. So he's got these ideas, these grand ideas of like, this is stupid, but I know I can do it in a way where it feels worthwhile, you know?
Right.
And, more power to him, because more often than not, you watch it and you're like, yeah, it worked. I don't know why it worked, but it worked.
That's hilarious. That's
yeah.
hilarious.
I'm still getting the GoPro tomorrow, and I'm recording 12 hours of script.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
It's just going to be you and me at work in each other's offices for 12 hours.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Probably. Not that we do that. Not that we.
No.
Not that we do that.
We don't do that, of course.
You were.
No, never. Exactly. Actually, truth be told, Patrick, that's why we started the podcast, was because we were in each other's offices too much talking. So
sure. I get it.
But so the question was asked in the documentary, and so we'll ask it here, which is, do you think the show will still be going on in another 5 years?
It's a great question. I mean, I think post-COVID, we sort of found this nice groove, or post-lockdown, I should say. We found it, because I still know a lot of people who were sick. Found this nice groove of doing the show whenever we want to. And we can do 18 shows a year, or we can do 2 shows a year, or we can do 5 shows a year, and we can do 1 live stream and 12 live shows, or whatever we want to do. So I think in that respect, it's nice because we're not putting any pressure on ourselves to get out there and have to do a show every week or every month or whatever it is. And I think that probably elongated the longevity of the show, you know? Because when you put all that on yourself, like during lockdown, we were doing 1 show a week that was at least 4 hours long every week. Like that was our minimum that we were doing. And that gets exhausting when you do 50 shows in a row. You know, it's like, we got to take a break. We got to do something else.
Even a hobby can become work if you do it too much.
100%. And I still love doing it. You know what I mean? I think we all still love doing it. It's just a matter of like, okay, I got to put this jumpsuit on again. I got to spray up again. Like it becomes monotonous after a little while, and it becomes exhausting.
Right.
So I would not be shocked if it's still going in 5 years. I don't know what form it will be going in 5 years. Maybe I won't be there. Maybe Griffin won't be there. You know, like who knows? I hope that's not the case, but sometimes we'll do live streams and it's just Connor and I, and that's totally fine. Or it's just, Griffin and Connor or whatever, and that's totally fine too. And I think giving ourselves the flexibility and the freedom to do whatever we want is it's a nice break. So I hope so is the answer, but I couldn't give you a concrete answer just because I didn't expect we'd still be here.
Right.
And when we signed on to do that doc 5.5 years ago, I didn't think I'd still be talking about it here now. It's been a while, and I thought we'd be done with it in 2020. And then I don't know if you guys heard, other stuff got in the way,
just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting that it's transformed twice, and it's in a new phase of evolution. And really, that's how you keep things from getting stagnant.
Yeah.
And
there's some people who only like the live shows, and there's some people who only like the live streams. So it's nice that we can do both of them. And, you can't always please everybody, but if you can do the things that people like, might as well do both of them,
Yeah. No, that's very cool. That's very, very cool. Do you guys know? It's primarily YouTube and the live streams and stuff and the stage shows. Do you guys put any of it in just audio format?
No.
Okay.
I think, and here's why. We've talked about it a lot, but I think, especially the live streams, we do so much stuff where we're like, hey, look at this, and it's Ponda Baba or whatever. But if you do that in an audio format, it doesn't work because you can't see it.
Yeah.
And also, such a big part of the joke is that he is really dressed as Watto, and he's really dressed as George. And when you do that as an audio thing, it's just Connor talking.
Right.
You don't get the impact of them both being dressed up. So I think that's what's been the holdback on that. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think we could probably figure out a way, but I also do think that time has passed at this point.
I agree. Plus, you need to be able to see that Howard the Duck jacket.
You need to see the Howard the Duck jacket.
Yes.
Yeah, and we don't need another podcast out there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I ask because we live stream. I love doing live streams, but as a listener, I'm a listener. I'm not much of a viewer because I don't have the time, honestly, to sit down, and so I find a lot of my time, podcasts when I'm mowing and snow blowing and whatever.
I've said all that, but I do think if you download the audio to the show off of YouTube, you're still going to get a totally fine experience. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because you know that it is happening. That he is in the costume, but it's different. I know some people do listen to it, so it's not look at that thumbs up.
That's funny. That's funny. No, I get it. I totally get it. And you're right. I think maybe for the experienced viewer that knows the show, but for a cold person, somebody that's never experienced the show, it would be like going to see the Rocky Horror or listening to an audio version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It's why are all these people yelling?
Exactly.
Why does it sound like a bunch of spoons are hitting the screen? I don't understand. Yeah.
Right on. Well, cool. Is there anything else about the documentary that you'd like to talk about before we
it's up on VOD now. People can watch it. I'm GeorgeLucas.com. It's coming to more VOD places soon, more standard VOD places where you can rent movies and stuff. I would say keep an eye out in the next month or so. Can't officially say anything, but we signed a distribution deal for it, so that's coming. And then I'm desperately trying to put a Blu-ray together, trying to find the right company to help us do that because we have so many bonus features that are already edited and ready to go. We also our goal for the home video release, we want to do more commentaries than have ever been done on a movie before. That's the goal. So Connor and I are planning on doing 15, together, and then, who have people involved in the show and people who made the movie are going to do some too. And 10 hours of 10 hours of commentary for an hour and a half documentary. The goal is to put the little sticker on front that says with 90 hours of bonus features.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
I want people to go to their grave not having enough time to watch all of the stuff on this DVD.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Mission accepted. All right. Get it out there.
Very cool. So Scruff, any other questions for Patrick regarding the film or anything before we move on?
No, I just need to know where I can get that Watto. Need to know those pieces.
It's
nose.
just it's an elephant trunk just painted blue. That's all it is. So
There you go,
probably
Scruff.
any party store.
There you go, Scruff.
Yeah, that I can't say enough. That costume was awesome. I absolutely
great.
loved
I
it.
love
It
that.
cracked me up.
I love it.
Just the little fairy wings on the back
Yeah.
and stuff.
Do you have any Watto merch behind you?
Behind me
Watching it
somewhere is a Watto action figure.
I love it.
He should be sitting in the Y wing, just above my head.
Amazing.
Where he should be.
Very cool.
And I do have a 12-inch Watto somewhere
I
on the
keep
other
meaning
side
to
of his wall.
I haven't gotten it yet, but I keep meaning to.
Absolutely, it's definitely something I got to get on display here one of these days.
What you guys both seem like big collectors. Do you guys each have a Grail piece? What is the thing that you're proud of?
Oh, a Grail piece! Wow. I have a lot of pieces that I absolutely I love. Actually.
Oh, I just thought of something to show you guys. Hang on 1 second. I'll be
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
piece right there.
You'll like this.
Hey, look what's on in the background.
Hey.
Okay, here we go.
So that piece right there, that is the 7-Eleven Return of the Jedi Slurpee cup.
Oh wow,
But
that's cool.
I absolutely love that. I picked it up from a friend who found it. He'll buy large collections. He'll keep what he wants and then sell the rest.
That rules.
And that's one of those pieces I picked up from him that I just absolutely love. Oops.
That's amazing.
That's probably one of my favorite pieces. And then of course I got somewhere behind me is a piece of art that my daughter made for me and my wife. It's my wife as Padme and me as Anakin. It's just a weird art piece that she had created. It was I just love that piece.
Yeah.
I got to get that back up on display. It's supposed to be behind my head.
I love that.
Do you have a Watto-mobile?
I do not.
Do you know what that? Hot Wheels made a little car
Yes.
that is Watto themed. Yeah.
Yep. I have tried. Once I buy one, I have to have the entire set, so I can't. I can't control it. So no,
Yeah.
I tried to stay away from some of that stuff.
My favorite.
Crazy telling me what to show. I got so much stuff in storage, blog. I can't go get all this stuff out right now.
My favorite thing to do at Christmas is to find something in a Star Wars line that he doesn't have, so that he gets the first piece and then he's got to expand. So for Grail for me, Grail for me, nothing that in particular that I have. Really, as hokey as it sounds, for me, doing this show has really been so enriching for me, and getting to meet people like yourself and all of the guests that we've had and growing that community has really been my Grail in a way. Just getting to interact with people, fans, people in the industry, and then just regular fans. I mean, that's really kind of my for a tangible thing, obviously probably something from one of the original movie sets, a prop from one of the original movies, or from Mando, because I'm a huge Mando stan.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yeah. But all right, let's since we're talking about it, let's kind of transition into. Go ahead, Scruff.
Yeah, what did you go get?
Well, this is the most recent thing that I picked up. I have two other things that I thought of where I was like, I should go get that. I just got my Regal Robot Did Fortuna maquette.
That is awesome.
Which is it's a 3D printed original, or 3D scanned original Phil Tippett maquette, which is really rad. But I also got this, which
where'd it from?
It's just a little vial of sand, right? That's it. No, it's not. There's more to it.
Tell me.
We had Gary Whitta on the show, one of the credited Rogue One writers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And during the show, he gave this to George, which is when they went over to go film the Scarif stuff.
Ooh.
This is sand from Scarif.
Oh, that is very
that is so awesome.
but also, and my apartment's a mess, so you're gonna have to forgive this. I've been cleaning a lot today, and it just didn't happen. During COVID, I bought a poster on eBay, right?
Mhm.
And I bought it from Italy, and I didn't pay enough attention to it because I didn't do the conversion on the size correctly. So it showed up. And I said, I can't do anything with this. I need to wait until I move. So I moved to LA. I got it linen backed. I got it framed. It is a 7-foot tall Italian Ewok adventure poster.
That's
It's
awesome.
That is awesome.
The entire wall almost. Like it's truly my
That
door
is
is like
huge.
right here. I can touch the door. That is it.
Oh, that thing is huge.
Yep. Patrick Yubnub, Warwick Davis.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's the bomb.
Okay,
That
that is epically cool.
That is very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, so since we're talking collection corner, Scruffy, what yesterday was comic book day, so
First issue of Ahsoka, right?
yeah.
Yeah. First issue of Ahsoka. I picked up a couple of those. But beyond that, I really have really cranked back and have started to save for ICCC.
Mm.
Somebody went and found me one of these. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, they are too. Yep.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I've done. I really have not picked up anything extra.
Nice.
What are you missing that you want?
I am 3 figures away from completing the original vintage figure collection. I'm missing a Yak Face, an EV-99, and a Stormtrooper Luke Stormtrooper disguise. I am also only missing the TIE Bomber from the diecast line. So those are the 2 pieces that I really want to finish more than anything else before I.
Are you a boxed guy? Are you an open guy? Does it not matter? What's the opinion?
If it's packaged, I will leave it alone.
Yeah.
But if it's not packaged, I certainly don't have to. It's not something I go out and find. Well, I have to have this in a package.
Yeah.
As long as I have one, I'm cool. Like the diecast line, some of them are still carded or packaged, and some of them are not.
Yeah.
One of my unfortunately, we moved back in 2015. And this is a lesson in making sure your collection is properly stored. Because I had a Slave 1, diecast Slave 1 that was in decent shape, and now I have a diecast Slave 1 card, and a loose Slave 1 because the box dropped and that heavy plastic, heavy diecast ship flew right out of the package. So that was an expensive lesson.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. If that's the only casualty of the move, I'm pretty happy with that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Right on. So I did not receive anything, but I did spend money this week. So
Yes. That would be my fault. You're welcome.
So my buddy's, our friend of the show, Scott Baker, was running a sale on some stuff he had left over from one of his cons. So I picked up, he just shipped them today, 10 R5 magnets and a couple Razor Crest. So if you find R5s popping up around the office, mysteriously, you know where they come from. And then
mystery behind it for sure.
Right, for sure. And then I'm not a huge comic book collector, but I do love good art. And the Ahsoka variant covers, there's Big Time Collectibles is doing a whole special run of exclusive covers.
Those look great.
Yeah, and
very cool.
I love that style of art. I loved that first animated in Visions. Yeah, the traditional anime samurais type stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, the Ronin.
Yeah, the Ronin.
Yeah.
Huge fan of that style. So you actually can pre-order all 8 issues.
Who's writing that?
Good question.
I worked at Marvel for like 3 years, so I'm like
really.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. Oh, of course, the issues are in the car. I forgot to bring them in.
Yeah.
Let's see if it says. Doesn't say on here
Should.
who's writing it, but the artist is Takashi Okazaki.
Oh yeah,
Is the artist of it, but it doesn't say who the writers are on those.
Rodney Barnes. I don't know Rodney Barnes.
Okay.
But yes, I think that sounds familiar.
Yeah, that does sound.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with much of his work either, but
But yeah, so I ordered that whole set just for the covers because I do like good art. And then another friend of the show, it's not Star Wars related, but another friend of the show, Seppi and Mark from Fight in a Box, they did launched their Kickstarter yesterday for their end of the line game. So I threw them a couple bucks and kicked in on that Kickstarter for them as well. Which, by the way, they'll be our guest next week on the show again to talk about that Kickstarter. But yeah, that's all I picked up. And again, you know what? They did make a couple more announcements. So ICC is a convention we go to every year.
Yeah.
It's all about it's the vintage collecting. And you see more vintage at ICCC than any other con out there. It's amazing. But last week they announced their headliner, Billy D. Williams. So he's going to be at ICCC this October. And then what I got really excited for before the show started, which was Brendan Wayne. So that's going to be one I sign up for so that I can get this monster autographed. I think that'll be a fun autograph to get when we go down there in October. And who knows? And we'll definitely, so we go down there as the podcast too. So we get to participate in the podcast studio and who knows, maybe I'll put a word in with Jim and we can get him as our celebrity interview. That would be that would be
awesome.
I'd be totally down with that. So
when Brendan did the Lucas show, they did it at New York Comic-Con. And I also asked Lateef because he was also going to be there. And I never heard back about Lateef. Brendan said yes. And then he showed up and he goes, "Oh, Lateef's here too." We're like,
that is awesome.
Okay, great, yeah.
Get an extra chair, quick.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Scruff.
What's your focus primarily for your collection? Because it looks like you got a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, I like figures. I'm sort of all over the place. There's like a lot, you can't really see. Those are all Universal Monster figures. I've got some stuff over here, but I don't know, it changes. There's autographs. I've gotten really into posters lately. I've got a Force Awakens poster over there that's signed by Mark and Carrie and Anthony Daniels, which is cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
And then I also like I've got a Italian Raiders poster right now that's making the rounds that's being signed, just because I wanted to get something that wasn't Star Wars again. I've got so much Star Wars stuff that I'm like, let's switch it up a little bit so I can also have a Raiders poster. That's really cool. But yeah, I don't know. There's no real focus. It's kind of just like I know it when I see it.
Right.
I got the Regal Robot Jar Jar that came to the same maquette style.
Mm-hmm.
So I like those. They're expensive, so it's hard to plop down the money for it every time when you're like, oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
And I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment in LA, so it's not huge, So
you're out of room.
Like, yeah, I'm kind of running out of space a little bit, and I need to be careful about what I buy.
Right.
But also like there's a bunch of stuff that I just reach around and it's right next to me, and that also means I need to clean up the apartment because that shouldn't just be sitting on my desk,
I feel your pain. Yeah, I mean, right. It's still sitting there for about 6 months now. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Stuff like this, or
for sure. Well, cool. Well, Patrick, it's been a joy to have you on, and I'm so thankful that you guys reached out, and it's been great to have you on. Where can people find not only stuff about the documentary, but stuff about you as well?
So you can George Lucas Talk Show, all of it's on YouTube. If you just search it, it will pop up. Find a guest you like, watch that episode. The doc is imgeorgelucas.com. There will be more ways to watch it in the coming month, but you can VOD it right now. I also, in May, we did a 25th anniversary live read of The Phantom Menace here in LA. that had Haley Joel Osment was Anakin, and Tony Hale was Qui-Gon, and Diana Lee Inosanto from Ahsoka was Palpatine. Like it was Bobby Moynihan did full SNL level makeup for Darth Maul. Like
Wow.
full horns, everything, like bald cap,
Wow.
everything. And I'll give you a scoop because this is getting announced tomorrow. August 10th at Dynasty Typewriter in Los Angeles. It's also being live streamed. We're doing the Great Camino Caper, which is our live read for Attack of the Clones. The cast is insane. It's some returning people, but a lot of new people that are genuinely crazy, including multiple people who are pretty big roles in Star Wars stuff. So you'll be able to watch that live streamed through Dynasty Typewriter, but all the ticket info will be going up as of this recording tomorrow. Twitter at Patrick Conner, Instagram at Cotnoir. My website's patrickconner.com, and there's so much stuff going on. You'll see something will pop up.
That's very cool.
Also next week, maybe people might like this. Next week at Dynasty Typewriter 2, it's also being live streamed. I know, blog. You're lucky. You're a lucky boy, blog.
Thanks for tuning in.
Next week at Dynasty Typewriter, this is also being live streamed. I'm doing a show with this guy, Michael Ausiello, who's a TV writer. When he was 13, 14 years old, he wrote 500 episodes of a soap opera that never aired. It was just his own little childhood weird pet project. And we're doing a live read of those with Tony Hale and Gillian Jacobs and Melissa Fumero and like a lot of insane TV. Dule Hill from The West Wing, just like cool people are doing it. So tickets are sold out for in person, but you can live stream it still.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Dynasty Typewriter. Got it. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, Scruff, you ready with the picture? We got to do the last segment.
I am right now.
All right, you're ready.
All right, go.
Dad joke of the week. Time to annoy Scruffy and DB. Dad joke of the week. All right, so dad joke of the week, courtesy of Kelly Knox's Star Wars Dad Jokes of the Week book, or not of the week, just Star Wars Dad Jokes book. But this week's dad joke of the week is: did you know Lando got a great deal on the Millennium Falcon? He bought it wholesale.
I don't even know if I get that joke.
Hull, Hull, as in like the hull of the ship. Yeah.
Yep. Afraid so.
Thank you, Kelly Knox, for that. So
yeah, thank you.
That was Dad Joke of the Week
Oh my God.
Now don't you feel absolutely complete?
No.
So all right, with that again. So even a boo from the comments. I think that's our first boo. So thank you, blog. Appreciate that.
Thank you, blog.
So again, Patrick, thanks for joining us tonight. Oh, and before we sign off, so every guest of the show becomes an honorary member of Brown Squadron. So with that, you get a flight designation and a call sign. And so let me flip over to this. So you are going to be Brown 58, and the call sign is Wint. And where that comes from is I always try to do something kind of related to the guest. And this is from Legends. Wint Kapora was a human male from Alderaan. And he participated in the Thespian Union and later became a captain in the Imperial Navy. Star Wars doesn't have a lot in regards to actors, producers, thespians. So we always have to dive deep when we're looking for stuff like that.
That's great.
But so very cool. So welcome to the crew. Welcome back on the show anytime. Patrick, we'd love to have you. So and with that, if you want to get a hold of Brown Squadron Hyperspace Heroes, you can find us on all of the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can email us at brownsquadron@gmail.com. And you can find all of our links at beacons.ai/Brown Squadron for anything and everything in terms of our social media. All right. With that, this is again, thank you for coming on, Patrick. This is Brown Leader signing off for the crew, and you have been listening to Hyperspace Heroes. That's no moon.
Moon.
Oh, yeah.
Was it good for you?